Hey everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic host of Bachelor Recap, a guy's review. This video is about Taylor Nolan. We have an update, as you can see from this title. Bachelor alum Taylor Nolan is officially under investigation by Department of Health for past tweets. All right, let's dive right into it. So if you guys aren't familiar with this story, Taylor Nolan was on a season of The Bachelor a couple years ago, Bachelor in Paradise, and she's an advocate for a lot of progressive issues and kind of just holds people to the fire when they do something controversial. Probably would consider that cancel culture when she's trying to get rid of the likes of Chris Harrison. So when she went after Chris Harrison, the host of The Bachelor, but by all means, he deserved criticism he received. But of course, when you go after someone, people start looking at you. So people started looking at Taylor Nolan, and they learned a lot. Let's jump right forward to over here. And again, trigger warning for some of the very just charged things Taylor Nolan said in her past. And of course, Taylor Nolan, I think it's the hypocrisy more than anything that people were kind of feasting on, because as she posted here just very recently, just because you didn't think it was racism before 2020 does not mean that it wasn't. And then of course, nothing but an archive of racist things. People don't realize you can just go on someone's Twitter and search words, and then you can find every time they said those words, and it is not going to be pretty. Now, Taylor Nolan actually hasn't taken down any of the tweets. I just saw this on Reddit. Out of curiosity, has she deleted the tweets? Never. Wow. WTF, because they are an important part of her journey. That was her excuse for not deleting them, saying, look, people have all the screen grabs anyway. I'm going to leave them up. This is why. I've improved. I moved on. Taylor, of course, received an award for the worst apology ever. I actually, let's see if I can show you the apology here. She immediately became super defensive after these tweets came out and issued this statement. And this is a good example of what not to do. Take a breath, walk the dog. Don't release your statement when you're still angry. She said, my tweets from 10 years ago are sucky. They were wrong and hurtful. I want to be clear that they don't take away from the work I do today. So the immediate, part of her apology was saying, but here I am different, of course, which, falls in line with, the hypocrisy of it all. I stand on the whole platform of, I do think people are redeemable. Even dark, issues like this, I think there is a world where she can come out of this. But the question is, does that world involve working as a healthcare professional? So, there are some jobs where, if she was Taylor Nolan, the plumber, no one would know anything, about this. But if you're going to be working with people in a therapy type of role, you are licensed through the state. And because of that, they have the ability to kind of look into you. It's like if you were a lawyer and you had some malpractice, or a doctor, they have to hold a certain standard. So it was reported last night that Bachelor alum Taylor Nolan is officially under investigation by Washington state health officials for her past offensive tweets. Washington Department of Health spokesperson Gordon McCracken told Page Six on Wednesday, March 24th, that the inquiry doesn't necessarily mean that disciplinary action will occur, just that we are moving to the stage of an investigation. Which is pretty interesting because it's sort of still a new reality here that tweets will exist in this sort of form that can get you in trouble. Now, not to say that people's tweets haven't gone viral and cancel culture has been around and accountability has been around, but most healthcare professionals, I think, are smart enough to know to not share their clients' info, with the public. And she kind of towed this line. It says here, Nolan, 27, is a licensed mental health counselor. The DOH signaled earlier this month that her career could be impacted by her social media scandal. Now, we live in a world where she can lose her license and essentially do the same thing as a health coach. A lot of if you ever hear about health coaches, those are just people that don't have a license, so they just can coach. It's just semantics. We call it something different. This is what they had said previously, the Department of Health. This week, we've received multiple complaints against Nolan in connection with the issues you mentioned, McCracken told Page Six at the time. Those complaints are under assessment. Patient safety is our top priority, and we take all complaints seriously. Nolan's tweets, which span from 2011 to 2013, went viral on Reddit in February. The post insulted minority groups, including Asian, Indian, Jewish communities, as well as contained fat shaming and homophobic slurs, slut shaming. I mean, it went on and on, guys. The Bachelor in Paradise. And by the way, I'm the type of guy as a stand-up comedian where I look at this and I go, I'm trying to look at this and go, where's the attempt? Like, is she attempting humor? Is she attempting like Twitter slam culture? What is it? Now, it doesn't mean there isn't hate involved, but what is the viewpoint where she was thinking this was the right thing to do? Which again, even kind of diving into those mindsets can be dangerous, because I have no idea what she was thinking, but she's clearly, and people have posted so many brilliant things about, she was raised biracial with a black parent and a white parent, and people had posted that, in the past she centered her anger, like she centered herself on the white version of herself, and she would attack these minority groups. And then when it came time to profit off of the Black Lives Matter movement and all these progressive issues, she has centered herself around more of her diversity and has been able to profit off of that. And that's where it can become kind of dangerous, when you can look at someone and go, whether that was just convenient of her or whether it's something more cynical, that's very, very interesting. That in the past she was bullying people through the different tweets, through her different, observations that she was making of pretty much every minority group. Now she's been bullying people in a different way, bullying people to get in line with what is right versus what is wrong. And I think when I look back at this whole scenario, I just realize people don't like hypocrisy. We don't like it from our politicians. We don't like it when someone says, that they're at some sort of moral level and they're not. This is why I personally think people like comedians, they're just we realize not to hold each other to a standard that's unattainable. I don't want to be thought of anyone other than a guy who's trying to figure it out himself. A guy who grew up, with a lot of misogyny in media, Hollywood. I mean, if you can't watch a movie from the early 2000s now and go, oh my gosh, this is wild, but also understanding what the intentions are behind people's words. So, it's easy to search on Twitter and see the negative things people said. It's much harder to then discuss why they were saying those things. I actually had this video I made, and I think Dr. Kirk Honda deleted his video, but I was watching him address the situation. Now, he can't talk about Taylor Nolan by name because she is technically he's like a mentor to her, so it might fall within some sort of client privilege. I don't know the details, but he actually deleted this video. I'll just play a clip, but this was directly after him as Taylor Nolan's mentor, kind of hearing the news, and as a man who's as an Asian American, knowing the hate that he has received for not fitting into certain boxes of different identities for people. He talks about his experience, which was just amazing to hear how sort of eloquent he can describe the pain that minorities can feel, but at the same time bring in the psychological aspect to it, because it's easy for us to know, oh, that hurts, oh, that's hot, but it's really hard for us to know why. So he did a really good job of explaining that a lot of internalized hate, a lot of hate we have for ourselves is pushed out to others. I'll just play a quick second of this clip.
Let's go on to the topic of internalized racism. We take, or internalized oppression in general, we take in these messages from parents, from society, from friends, from systems of power, from TV, from movies, from history, from politics, from schools, etc. It's just a constant barrage of messaging that these people are normal and okay and good, and these people are not. And we internalize these messages, we believe them to be true, and then we become oppressive to the self.
So this whole video is very fascinating. If you guys want to go watch that, if you haven't already, the story for me, it's not about beating a dead horse and shaming Taylor Nolan. It's understanding that when it all comes down to it, she's a 20-something woman who has done what she needs to do to survive, and it's not always pretty. So when she was a hateful younger person in her teens, she's jabbing out at others, just trying to find her lot. When she's an adult, she's trying to redeem herself and be on the right side of cancel culture. And it's almost like she just has never been in a position where maybe, and again, I'm not a psychologist, right? But it feels like she's never been in a position where she felt like she belonged. She's just kind of like grasping at what her identity is, which is kind of like join the club, right? Everyone's kind of got that high school, I feel weird. Yeah, everyone does. All right. But anyway, let's just play a quick clip of this, of how defensive she was.
This video is for my BIPOC community. I want that to be very clear.
This came out, like, she made this video like the second this all went viral.
I have a lot to say. This is going to be a long video, but this is for my BIPOC community. So
dismissive.
I want to set some things straight, and I have a lot to say. I'm going to put my phone down here. So
she says right here, I hope you can consider giving me some grace. You push it so hard for a white Bachelor alum to receive for things they have in the recent past or present time said and done that were harmful. So in her apology, she's essentially saying, I hope you treat me with the grace you give the white contestants, which she's saying, she's playing a card in her apology where she was brutally racist, homophobic, all these different things. It's really a master class that she's giving right now and what not to do.
I want to start off with what my morning was. I want to share.
So she's about to play the victim. She's wearing a depressed shirt.
My morning with y'all first.
Not even 30 seconds in.
The last 3 weeks have been a lot. Just the internet has been a lot. I've been really trying to stay strong. I've been trying really hard to protect my emotional energy, to protect my emotional peace. I've tried really, really hard to do that. Sunday, today, today's a day for self-care. Today's a day to give myself rest. Today was supposed to be a day to just like breathe for like a little bit.
So anyway, that's 30 minutes of this. You can follow the comments. It's pretty brutal. As others have said, an apology doesn't include excuses. It isn't aimed at only a certain group of people when your actions included talking terribly about multiple groups of people outside of race. This apology is riddled with deflection. Considering your profession, you'd think you'd be a little bit better about that. I mean, this was the beginning of it. It actually got a lot worse after this. Girl named Janine posted a nice definition of hypocrisy. If you weren't familiar, the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform. Yeah, so, I mean, if you were to ask me what Taylor Nolan needs to do moving forward, I think she needs to start using her own story as the example that she leads her hero's journey. The fall from grace. Where she takes this next is going to be, are people willing to listen? Will it take time? When I say the hero's journey, I talk about Taylor as the star of her own story, the chance to redeem herself. This is like the biblical move she has. She can't go back to solving other people's issues without using herself as the example for a very long time. For a very long time. It's we can boil it down to saying, calling out the elephant in the room, because that's what it is. So she came back to the internet. She took a few weeks off, which is always recommended. Just take a few weeks off, eat healthy, have a salad, take a few weeks off, go to maybe go on a little vacation, get your vaccine. I got my vaccine 2 days ago and I was bragging for a day about how good I felt. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh. Now it feels like I got punched. Probably doesn't feel as bad as Taylor feels right now. So she posts, the cryptic thing you do after you get, rejected or whatever. She posts the, walking around on low tide, whatever the hell, whatever this is. I don't know. She's going fishing or whatever. You post that. She posts, multiple apologies after the first one wasn't received. This was her post apology, like just like we said with Chris Harrison. Once you get into the second and third apology in a row, you're not getting it right. Yesterday's response was a reaction and not an apology. I'm sorry I didn't take a second to come correct. I owe you all an apology. So she kind of got into it and understood. She did the whole, apologize and put it on a nice calming color right there. But then she got back into this. Now, obviously, we've had a lot of Asian hate in our world, and we're praying for our Asian friends and standing by them, our Asian American friends, and just there's no room for this at all. The problem is that like Taylor just came back and started fighting for others, and a lot of people just are like, what are you doing? You're not equipped to fight for others. You're not in a position. You've proved that you don't have that ability. She posts, we're not safe until we are all safe. Asian women are not for white men to fetishize as temptations, and it does not justify. She got into the whole thing, and again, the points are all valid. And I think the points she's always made about her progressive thoughts are valid. It's just the messenger. People are going, ugh. You know what I mean? Like, now's not your time, Taylor. Like, you don't get to just come back, because we're all going to agree that this is wrong, but you don't get to just come back and have that platform. So people have posted, are you still going to be held accountable and to the same standard you've placed on everyone else? And if she stayed quiet, y'all would have an issue with that too. So people have said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Where is your video on unpacking your apology, standing by? Girl, go home. You have a lot more to do before you hop back up on your soapbox. I think I've always said this when it comes to like Chris Harrison, which, by the way, Chris Harrison, I mean, it's hard to compare the two. One was hateful comments, and then another one was more ignorant comments, which might not have been rooted in hate, but you can see the result of maybe not appreciating who you're talking to or talking down to people, this or that. So, it's a whole bunch of something. She posted this after the whole incident went down. She kind of became the victim of the story. I have been being attacked and harassed online for weeks. My video earlier wasn't concise because I didn't feel like I could even have a day to process everything that was coming my way. Now, I do agree with her on that people want apologies so fast that now it's like a race to get your apology out. So the key is, I think it's a race to get your apology out, but also I think she could have been like, I have an apology coming. I really want to get this right. I will be apologizing and addressing this in 48 hours. I don't see why that would be a problem. But either way, she kind of made an excuse that says, like, my video earlier wasn't concise because I feel like I didn't even have enough time to process everything. At the time of the video, I only had seen the tweets towards BIPOC communities, but obviously have heard many outside that, because of course she was criticized for this apologies for my BIPOC community. She didn't address all the other communities that she laid waste to, close to every marginalized group, honestly, because of all of what I said in my video and because of the environment I was in. And it still doesn't excuse it or justify it, which is why I do the work I do today and for the last several years. So again, she's like the person who's good at interviewing, where they can answer whatever it's like, what's your greatest weakness? Well, I've been doing the work for several years. I'm pretty good at it. It's like she immediately is able to work that in. And it's like, maybe don't work in your resume into the apology. This is nuanced, and there's a lot to unpack. So I think this was on February 28th. I think people are excited for her to unpack it. And I think the work she has to do, I don't want to tell her what to do, but while she's under investigation here, while we have her under investigation, it appears the work that she has to do is going to be to show who she is, why she did what she did, and why, and get into the psychology of it. Use yourself as the case study. It's, as a psychologist, the only person she can talk about out and openly and use as an example, which won't be violating confidentiality, is herself. Taylor, use yourself. Talk about it. In the meantime, you might lose your license and you might become a coach, and that's okay too. There might be a redemption story for you. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think, whatever the path of redemption is for her, what her position should be moving forward. Because I personally don't believe in the things that she was saying about cancel culture. I personally think some of the best stories we have are the stories of people that overcame the worst version of who they were. Because that's all we can do is keep unpeeling the layers. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment, and tons of videos coming today. 4 p.m. live stream today, Pacific time. I'll see you guys over there for that. Bye now.